Welcome to Payoff Pitch, Action Network's Major League Baseball betting podcast. It is Monday, August 25th. I'm Collin Whitchurch. I'm joined by Sean Zerillo for a look at the Monday MLB slate. It's a pretty packed slate, 13 games today. No day games, which should be a crime. Send Rob Manfred to the gulag for that. We do have Grant Neiffer, scores and odds on deck with some dinger picks, but we're going to jump into our best bets first from Sean and I. Sean, last time you and I talked on Tuesday, Michael McGreevy was on the mound for the Cardinals, a.k.a. Kyle Loesch 2.0. You talked about why you liked him then. He had a solid 6 innings against Miami. Defense let him down a little bit, but got a quality start, got a win for the Cardinals. Tonight, he's back on the bump against Pittsburgh and Johan Oviedo. That's where you're looking for your best bet today.
Yeah, I think McGreevy is going to get a lot of quality starts in his career. He's just that type of guy who should eat innings, have good command. Will probably give up about 3 runs a start, but 3 runs every 6 innings, a 4.5 ERA. That's, I think, what this guy's going to be across his career. Former first round pick, has first round command, does not have first round stuff. Stuff plus around 90, throws 7 different pitch types, nothing better than 97 stuff plus, but he has elite command, as I mentioned last week. He had a 111 location plus rating last week. Now it's up at 112, which is tied with Chris Paddock for the highest in baseball. He's now moved up ahead of Paul Skeens and Nick Pivetta. So elite command for McGreevy, lesser stuff, but models say that is a major league average starter. Rest of season FIP projections have him between 3.9 and 4.05. His bot ERA is 3.9. I think this guy is a league average major league pitcher who is going to have a long career, health provided, as long as that command sticks around. And it certainly should. That's the most repeatable skill probably that he has in his skill set. Now, I read an article yesterday by Jay Jaffe on Fangraphs where he mentioned a fact that was absolutely mind-blowing. The whole article was really about this fact and this idea. The 2025 Pittsburgh Pirates are in danger of being the first AL or NL team this century to finish the season without a single regular hitter. Sorry, without a single hitter, not single regular hitter, without a single hitter producing a 100 WRC plus or higher, hitting at a league average level. And just to reiterate, I'm not saying any regular, not their, main 8, 7 hitters who have qualified for a batting title. Every single hitter who has appeared for the Pirates this season, not a single one is going to finish with a WRC plus of 100 or higher, unless somebody comes up in September and goes like 1 for 1 or 2 for 3 or 1 for 3. Then they may. But as of right now, the highest WRC plus for any player who has appeared for the Pirates this season is a 98. That's Nick Gonzalez and Liover Peguero. So a very dubious record that the Pirates are potentially going to set offensively this year. The last piece of this is Johan Oviedo, who's pitching for the Pirates. He was really good in his last start, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts against the Jays. But looking under the hood, the velocity is actually down from where it was previously, 94.9 versus 95.9 career. His bot ERA is the same. His pitch mix is the same. I think he just had 1 good outing against the Blue Jays. There's nothing to suggest he was doing anything differently or should have improved as a starter in that outing. Location plus body array, both around his career averages as well, 90 and north of 5 on the body array. So I make the Cardinals about minus 160 here at home against the Pirates. I would bet them up to around minus 145 to minus 150, and that's my best bet for today. Let's get McGreevy with Mike McGreevy.
I love that note on the Pirates. I think that's going to be something to watch all year. Actually, updated stats through Sunday, Tommy Pham's at 102 right now. So he's going to be the guy when he's not getting mad at Tommy Heineman or whatever for just being an absolute psychopath. Yeah, Pham 102, McCutchen and Horwitz both 98.
Yeah, Pham has gone 4 for 5 with a homer since that article was written. So I think he might have crawled over it in the last couple of days. So yeah, definitely keep an eye on Tommy Pham's WRC plus, and if any of these Pirates finish above league average at the end of the year.
Cal Raleigh homer chase, not that exciting. Tommy Pham 100 WRC plus watch, very exciting. And
absolutely
good note from our producer, he might get distracted here over the next couple of weeks as fantasy football leagues get going.
Good point. Yep. Depends how his team does early on.
Yep. We'll move on to my best bet of the day. I'm going to this Blue Jays Twins game. I was at Rate Field yesterday for White Sox Twins because it was, the matchup of the day. You couldn't miss out on Yohendry Gomez against Taj Bradley. Had over 9 in that game. It was 7-0 White Sox with 1 out in the second inning, and the game ended 8-0. So heartbreak. But watching that Twins team, man, right after the deadline, the Twins looked like they might be a little friskier than we expected. After trading like 40% of the
Yeah.
roster, they won 5 of 7 right after the deadline. They took 2 of 3 from the Tigers. It seemed like they might be fine and kind of normal bad the rest of the way. Since that stretch, they've now lost 10 of 13, including 2 of 3 to my aforementioned White Sox yesterday. And those last 2 games with starting pitchers, they hope will be part of their future. Mick Abel, Taj Bradley on the mound the last 2 days. They were outscored by a combined 15-3. Poor, sad Joe Ryan's on the mound today, as he will be every 5 days, and give the Twins their best chance to get a win every 5 days with him on the mound. I faded him last week pitching against the A's. He gave up 5 runs in 4 innings, but just one came via the home run, which I thought would be what actually hurt him against the A's. Today, he faces another powerful lineup in Toronto, of course. Vlad Guerrero Jr. pinch hit yesterday. John Schneider said we should expect him to be fully ready to go and fully back in the lineup today. So that's obviously a big boost for the Blue Jays offense. That hit the skids a little bit without him. They lost 2 of 3 to the Pirates last week, who you just mentioned don't have anyone who can hit the ball. So they took 2 of 3 from Miami, probably getting back on track. Having Vlad Guerrero back in the middle of that lineup will be good. We also talked last week about Max Scherzer. He looks like he's fully figured out a way to be a really effective top-level starting pitcher again at the age of 41. His velocity is actually up a tick from what it was last year when he really looked cooked. And still down from his peak, of course, because what he expected of a 41-year-old. But he's been tinkering with his pitch mix more, as he always does. He's throwing his four-seamer more than he has since 2019. Also almost entirely ditched his cutter, which he was throwing up to 10% of the time in 2023. He's now just throwing it 1.3% of the time. This Minnesota lineup is a hodgepodge of veterans, intriguing youngsters, and just quad A guys kind of playing out the stretch. Byron Buxton, obviously still a star. I really like Luke Keeschel. I think that guy's a future all-star potentially for Minnesota. They have young guys that they plan on counting on in the future, like Brooks Lee, kind of doing okay, going through the lumps of his first full season. And then you're looking at guys like Cody Clemens, Austin Martin, the corpse of Edouard Julien, Royce Lewis, who can't stay healthy and hasn't been good when he is healthy. It's just a really uninspired lineup. You know, obviously the Blue Jays are favorites today, but I think it's lower than it might be just because of the respect Joe Ryan has in the market. Given the equality of pitchers Scherzer looks like right now and the issues with the Minnesota lineup, as well as the Twins' train wreck of a bullpen, I'm going to jump on the Blue Jays tonight. Even if Ryan and Scherzer match each other through 5 or 6 innings, once it gets to the bullpens, Toronto has the obvious edge there. So I like the Blue Jays here at minus 160 or better.
Just want to mention, I barely missed out on betting the under in that game. It was 8 minus 110. I make it 7.4. By the time I was about to bet it, it moved to 8.5 minus 115. And now it's 7.5 this morning. So it should be a low scoring game. If you're doing DFS or anything like that, I wouldn't expect many runs here. Both guys should pitch well.
And if it's close to the number when the bullpens get involved, that might be the opportunity to get on some live with Minnesota's bullpen as well. So, all right, let's move over to
much different bullpen with Yohan Duran not in there. I was actually I was talking about this the other day because I had the Phillies over, and when Duran is looming in the final inning of a tight game with the Phillies, you're like, my over better hit by the bottom of the 8th or it's not hitting. Because you know when he comes in, he's locking down that top of the 9th. Of course, he got to first and third with 1 out and was like threatening to give up runs against the Nats and didn't. But yeah, when you have an over and Yohan Duran is looming, it feels dead. And now that the Twins do not have him there, it feels like there's many more opportunities to cash late overs in Minnesota.
Yeah, and that bullpen, I mean, Duran's the big name, but they traded
Varlin, Jax,
everyone. Yeah, it's really nasty down there.
Terrible too.
Name a guy in that bullpen right now. It's like hard to do. Brock Stewart obviously even traded. You know, like it's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Justin Topa. I think that Topa is like the one name in my mind for some reason that I can still think of who's there. So.
All right, underdogs time. Let's go first to Cleveland for a game between the Rays and Guardians. Tanner Bybee. It's been very disappointing for Cleveland this year. More importantly, very disappointing for my Dynasty Fantasy Baseball team. That's the thing that people care about even more. You're fading Bybee today against the Rays. Her giving their first start to Ian Seymour. I guess it's stretched out enough to maybe go 4 innings today or so. I think it sounds like it's like a legit start and not a bullpen day, right? Mm-hmm. So what are you projecting out of him? Why are you on Tampa tonight?
Yeah, Tampa. If I was to tell you by August every single year who's going to have a top three bullpen, it's the Rays, right? Well, last 30 days, Rays first in expected FIP, first in strikeout minus walk for their bullpen, fourth in pitching plus. The Rays always figure out the bullpen by the end of the year. They always, start out with whatever dudes they have, make moves, make trades throughout the season, brings dudes up from AAA, and by August, September, the Rays are always peaking every single year. And that's why I thought that they were a sneaky long shot team for this season, especially with Carson Williams probably coming up by the end of the year, which he has, though that was likely due to injury, not necessarily due to natural promotion. But this is a fun, exciting team right now with Chandler Simpson hitting well, with Carson Williams there. They now have two of the fastest guys in baseball on the same lineup. Junior Caminero is probably going to finish with north of 40 home runs. He's having one of the best, like age 22, 23 seasons I think we've ever seen from a third baseman. So the Rays lineup is a lot of fun right now to watch. They also have a dude named Bob Seymour who's unrelated to Ian Seymour. I just find that funny because these are like two of the most generic creative player names on the team at the same time. I thought they might be related. They actually are not. Now, Seymour, who is starting today, Ian Seymour, who's starting today for them, is a former second round pick out of Virginia Tech. He had really good numbers in AAA. His stuff does not grade out well at the MLB level, just a 92 stuff plus, a 485 bot ERA. But what he has done well, or what I should mention, I should qualify the pitching plus numbers. He throws a changeup more often than any other pitch. Changeups generally do not grade well by stuff models. I think his changeup has like a 97 stuff plus rating. He throws it 35% of the time. He's been working out of the bullpen. We'll see if his pitch mix changes out of the rotation, since you probably can't throw a secondary pitch as your primary offering as a starting pitcher. But what he has done is limit hard contact. A 308 expected ERA, just the 3% barrel rate. It seems like this could be a weak contact guy. We do not have as much of a sample as you'd like in order to confirm that, but seeing good minor league numbers, seeing actually pretty good strikeout minus walk rates in the minor leagues as well, and then seeing in a short major league sample that he has avoided hard contact, I think he could be an interesting pitcher. Bybee, conversely, as you've mentioned, has really struggled this year, and it's mostly been the home run issue. 1.45 homers per nine. He's about zero point 0.3 above the major league average, which is closer to 1.15. He's not getting anybody to chase, just the 13th percentile in terms of chase rate, and his strikeout rate has gone down 6% each of his first 2 years in the major leagues. He was closer to 30% 2 years ago when he debuted, about 25% last year, now 21% this season. So I've been against Bybee for most of the season. I think the Rays bullpen is as good as it gets right now. Guardians ranking closer to league average in terms of their relievers without Clase. And I forget. Luis Ortiz was the other guy who is being investigated. I think he might have been cleared at this point. But without Clase, Guardians closer to a league average bullpen. Rays have been number one over the past 30 days. I make this game about plus 113. I saw it also hit a couple of Action Lab systems last night for the underdog as well. So Rays down to plus 122, my favorite underdog for today, and maybe my favorite bet overall for today. If the favorite underdog section did not exist, I probably would have stuck this in bets. I like the Rays quite a bit.
Yeah, Guardians free falling. Now fully 2 games behind the Royals in the AL Central. They've lost 5 straight. You mentioned the bullpen. You just said 2 months ago that which pitcher was more devastating to lose for the Guardians, Clase or Cade Smith. I would have said Cade Smith, but ever since Clase went down, Cade Smith has kind of fallen down to earth as well. Thought maybe he could step into that closer role and it would be totally fine, but that hasn't been the case. Still a good pitcher, but not quite the dominant arm he was earlier in the year. My best bet, I'm going to Angels Rangers. Sean, I know you were on a bet on this game as well. I'll let you talk on it a little bit. We talked earlier about buying one geriatric pitcher in Max Scherzer. I'm going to turn around and fade one here in Jacob deGrom against Jose Soriano and the Angels. It's funny, if you told a Rangers fan before the season that in late August, Jacob deGrom would have thrown 140 in a third innings and have a 2.76 ERA, they probably would have expected that this team was in first place by 10 games.
Especially if you gave them Eovaldi stats too.
Yes. And yeah, what they got out of Molly there for a while. Of course, that hasn't happened. I do think we've seen some signs of fatigue though from deGrom. He's at his highest innings total right now since 2019, and that, of course, innings total came when he was 31. As someone who's 38, I can tell you there's a really big difference between being 37 and being 31. We've seen dip in those numbers for DeGrom so far since he crossed that 100 inning threshold in early July. His last 8 starts, he's got a 4.2 ERA, and he's allowed just a 248 BABIP across those 8 starts, so it's not like he's been getting super unlucky. He has been getting, if you want to call home run lucky, he's been getting burned by home runs. Last 8 starts, he's allowed 10 home runs, including 3 against Seattle a couple starts ago. In his 16 starts before that stretch, he allowed a total of 9 home runs. Maybe it's some regression, maybe it's some natural regression, maybe he was getting a little lucky earlier, a little unlucky now. Whatever it is, DeGrom isn't quite as effective right now as he was earlier in the year. I also think the Rangers are probably going to be limiting his workload a little bit down the stretch. We just saw, as they're falling farther out of the playoff race, we saw he threw 5 shutout innings last time against Toronto. They pulled him at 84 pitches. Now, 84 pitches isn't a super low total, but he was kind of dealing in that start, and you'd think they'd get him through 6. Didn't happen. He's under contract through at least 2027. 38 million next year, 37 in 2027, and then has a $37 million mutual option for 2028. So even though things haven't gone as planned for the Rangers this year, they still have incentive to make sure DeGrom is good to go next year. The worst thing that could possibly happen in an already lost season is that DeGrom suffers some injury that impacts him for 2026. On the other side of, I really like finding the right spots to buy Jose Soriano. He's just turned into a competent innings eater, mid-rotation type starting pitcher. He's going to have starts where he looks better than that, starts where he looks worse, but he's a solid, bona fide major league starting pitcher, which is more than you could say about most Angels pitchers in most years. He's also a pitching development win for them, which is very rare for the Angels and their farm system. I see no reason Soriano can't at least pitch DeGrom to a stalemate, and I think there's a very good chance he puts the Angels in a position to win today. When you get into the bullpens, the Rangers bullpen has obviously been very good for much of the season, which is funny because entering the year, I probably would have said that was their biggest weakness. They have the 4th best bullpen ERA in the majors this year, but the underlying numbers have never really liked them all that much. And we've seen that regression a little bit this month. Since the trade deadline, they're all the way down at 21st in the league in bullpen ERA. When it's all said and done, I just kind of think the books are overrating DeGrom a little bit too much in this matchup, which is why I show value on the Angels. I bet them at plus 150. I think they're probably good till about plus 140. Sean, you put the Angels in our doc in the last section, so I want to let you talk about this a little bit and why you're on them as underdogs tonight as well.
Yeah, DeGrom skipped his last start with shoulder fatigue. You're talking about the potential injury concerns. They skipped him last time out. And actually going into that start, we all made awareness of the fact that he was intentionally reducing his fastball velocity this year, not trying to throw as hard. He's averaged 97.5 on his fastball this season. Well, his last 3 starts before getting skipped with shoulder fatigue, 98.1, 98.3, 98.4. Jacob DeGrom can only keep the leash on himself for so long before he feels like he has to start throwing 100 again. Sure enough, he bumped the fastball velocity up by a half a tick on average. Then he bumped it up by a full tick on average. Then he's like, oof, this doesn't feel too good on my shoulder. Maybe I should sit out a start. So this is his first start back since experiencing that shoulder fatigue. We'll see whether he is 100%. I would imagine he is. I'm still projecting him as 100%. But, a little red flag, certainly on the Rangers side. But even projecting DeGrom as good as I normally would, I'm with you. I think this is a good matchup for Soriano. No Semien for the Rangers, no Shanuel for the Angels. So, both guys missing a pretty significant offensive piece. But Soriano this year, 66% ground ball rate. It's the highest in baseball. He's basically Andre Palante if you hit Palante with a lightning bolt. He throws harder. He has a higher strikeout rate. He's much more electric to watch. I think his mechanics are much more chaotic, right? But this is also a guy who's very feast or famine. Half of his starts, he's made 26 starts this year. Half of them, he's given up 0, 1, or 2 runs. 7 times he's given up 5+ runs. I think this profiles as a game, given the total, given the opposing lineup, where it should be one of those starts where it's 0, 1, or 2. And then also looking at the pitching models, they kind of align with what he's done in his career. 3.7 career ERA. Oops, he has him at a 3.7 FIP the rest of the season. Pitching body array, the same thing, around 3.7. So, yeah, I think Soriano, very high floor with that ground ball rate, can get shelled at times, but this seems like a start that should be a decent matchup for him. And then definitely red flags on the DeGrom side of things. I make this game about plus 135. So Angels plus 150 or better for me, even down to plus 145, as you said, would be fun as well.
Football season is here, folks. We've got some huge improvements and updates coming on the award-winning Action Network app, which we're very excited to discuss in the weeks ahead. But to get the most out of the app, you've still got to be an Action Pro subscriber. It's only with Action Pro that you get real-time pick alerts from Sean, from myself, the entire Action Network team of experts. Plus, you get access to pro projections powered by Sean Kerner and our predictive analytics team, and a ton of other benefits. And right now, Action Network podcast listeners can save $20 off the annual price of Action Pro. Just go to actionnetwork.com/pro, use code PAYOFF20. It's actionnetwork.com/pro, code PAYOFF20 for $20 off the annual price of Action Pro. All right, final bets time. Sean, you've got a couple more bets. I've got one prop to give out. We'll toss it to you first. You're going to Baltimore for Orioles Red Sox today.
Yeah, just added this one this morning. There was no line out for this game last night, so I had to wait. Keep finding value on these games that are opening, morning of, that don't have a line out. Initially, Brewers yesterday, we bet at even money. They closed -120, -125. Thank you so much, Mr. McGill, for blowing your second save in 3 days. That was a lot of fun, but we did get the under 9 in that game as well. They closed 8, so decent CLV on both of those bets. Red Sox, I make about -135 today. Line open -110. I took -110. I put -115 in the app. Like it to -125. Yes, they are coming off the Sunday night game, but they should have a big pitching advantage in this matchup. Sugano for the Orioles, a sub-4 ERA, 3.9 in the year, but a 5.6 expected ERA, a 4.7 expected FIP, a 4.5 bot ERA. This guy who's pitched way over his head for the entire season and is 100% due for regression. Throws a 7-pitch mix, has a 107 stuff plus on his slider, but 92 overall on the arsenal. Rest of season FIP projections between 4.6 and 5.44 with an average of 4.9. So I do not like Tomoyuki Sugano as a projection guy on paper. Maybe he can continue to outperform it in real life. I do not think that is likely to be the case. Dick Fitz going to be starting for Boston. If the Dick fits, he must have quits. But also, Dick Fitz, great pitch modeling metrics. 103 stuff plus, 107 pitching plus, 356 body ERA. He has an ERA over 5. I actually think he's closer to a major league pitcher, and I view him as the better starter than Sugano despite the lesser results. And also, the Red Sox are going to be throwing Brennan Bernardino in front of him as an opener to try to counteract Gunnar Henderson and Colton Cowser at the top of the Baltimore lineup. And then probably going with a bullpen game behind him, considering they lost to the Yankees in blowout fashion last night, used Walker Buehler at the end of the game, did not use any of their A relievers. So the Red Sox should have their A bullpen tonight behind Bernardino and Fitz. I like them in this matchup, as I said, up to about -125. And hopefully we get some CLB here. I would imagine that we would. The only concern is the Red Sox coming off of Sunday night. Sometimes the offenses, when they travel off of Sunday night, tend to have some hiccups. So may be in need of some run scoring here, and they need the Red Sox to suppress scoring of their own, but definitely value on that one.
I think Sugano's like your new Andrew Abbott, right? Like
I finally got Abbott the other day. I wanted to throw a party. I thought about inviting all my friends over. We bet we bet Andrew Abbott. He got shelled, and I was like, well, "What am I watching here?" So yeah, that was absolutely delightful. I finally got him, folks. It took like 60 starts, but I finally got him.
We got him. We'll go to one more of yours here. Miami for Braves Marlins. This is a much more interesting one. In just that Spencer Strider is pitching for the Braves after getting pushed back. He has looked like a shell of himself. I was buying him a few weeks ago. It looked like he had kind of started to turn it around, got shaken off the post-injury rust or what have you, and now he's like borderline unstartable for the Braves, even with all of their rotation issues. Edward Cabrera obviously been great for the Marlins all year. You're on Miami tonight.
Yeah, I bet this at +105 last night. A couple hours later, it got all the way up to +120, and it is -102 this morning, which is where I would bet it down to. I wouldn't even go past that. Maybe -105 is okay, but like line went way up and then came crashing back down overnight. So it's not just me who likes the Marlins. It's not just me who dislikes Spencer Strider at this point. I talked about both of these guys at length last week, so I don't want to reiterate into it fully, but Strider, velocity, stuff plus, body array, all moving in the same direction over a 4-year span, not just a 3-year span, not a 2-year span, a 4-year span. Stuff plus down from 120 to 97. Velocity down from 98.2 to 95.6. The stuff plus on his fastball, 113 career, 91 this season. Slider 105 career. Sorry, slider 117 career down to 105 this season. When you have two pitches and one of them is barely above average and one of them is well below average, you're not going to find success as a starting pitcher, especially when your command is worse, too. 94 location plus, he was at 102 and 100 the past 2 years. There's not a single encouraging sign in Spencer Strider's profile. I've seen some people talking on Twitter about maybe the Braves moving him to the bullpen, trying to make him a closer next year, which could be interesting. That might be the move if the overall stuff doesn't come back, because I don't think he is enough to get through opposing lineups multiple times. We'll see if he can throw harder, maybe out of the bullpen. Now, Edward Cabrera, I could say all the opposite things for it. Every single command metric for Cabrera, even his velocity is up. Everything is up and everything is improving for Edward Cabrera. I think this is a guy who has 100% hit a growth level and gone up a level this season. Had a blister issue in spring, skipped, I think the beginning of the year, ended up rehabbing since May. 18 starts, a 3.3 expected FIP for Cabrera, full breakout mode. The piece that got hidden here that I think is actually the most interesting aspect of this handicap, because the Cabrera and Strider pieces I think are super well known. The Atlanta bullpen last 30 days, 30th in expected FIP, 26th in strikeout minus walk, 20th in pitching plus, and 99 pitching plus, which is below average. So I make the Braves, as I said, or I make the Marlins, as I said, around minus 110. You can bet them up to minus 102, even minus 105. And one of the easier clicks for me to make today, considering how poorly Strider has pitched the plate.
A couple more bets to get through. We do have Grant Neiffer on deck with some dinger bets. I'll give out my last prop before we get to Sean's last couple bets. I am going to the Royals-White Sox game. If you had over 1.5 references to the White Sox from me on this pod today, go ahead and cash your ticket. Noah Cameron has been a revelation for the Royals this year, which they've desperately needed because this org has practically nothing in the form of starting pitching depth in their system, which we saw by evidence of them signing and then using Rich Hill earlier this season. They've been without Cole Reagans for a large chunk of it. Chris Bubich was a breakout for them, and now he's out as well. The team soft bought at the trade deadline and somehow sits just 3 games out of the last wild card spot as we enter the day with their -3 run differential. Tonight, they face the White Sox, and as you know, for most of the season, I've been looking for opportunities to fade starting pitchers against the White Sox from a strikeout perspective. Cameron's a lefty. I'm already going to be eyeing the White Sox in this spot because they crush lefties and are below average against righties. Sportsbooks, of course, know this. They're not stupid, which is why the White Sox are just plus 125 tonight with Shane Smith on the mound. Don't necessarily see a lot of value in backing the White Sox on the money line at that number. Just don't trust Shane Smith nearly enough. However, I think we're getting a really nice price on fading Cameron in the strikeout department here. He's already not a very strikeout heavy pitcher, 7.3 Ks per 9, 20% K rate on the season. Now he faces an offense that will just grind down a starting pitcher. From a strikeout perspective, even if they're not having success offensively, they're going to have really long at bats. They're going to grind him down and probably get him out of the game relatively early. Cameron's underlying numbers already pointed toward regression from his incredible 2.53 ERA. 2 starts ago, he did throw 5 1/3 innings of 1-run ball against these White Sox, but he also struck out just 2. In 79 pitches, he generated just 8 swinging strikes all game. We're getting under 4.5 at close to even money here, so I love Cameron under 4.5 strikeouts here at -110 tonight. Sean, your last couple of bets.
Somebody referred to, he was favored at home in his last start, and somebody said, I can't believe the Royals are -130 at home or something with a white lefty. I was like, I'm just going to think of Noah Cameron as the white lefty for the rest of his career now. Like, there's plenty of white left-handed pitchers in baseball, but for some reason they decided to single out Noah Cameron, who plays for the Royals, as the white lefty. So yeah, that's now my nickname for the rest of his career for Noah Cameron is the white lefty.
Incredible. Let's head out west for your last couple bets. We will first go to Tigers Athletics. I can't believe we have a bet on this show fading the Tigers with Tarek Skubal on the mound, and it's not given out by me. JT Ginn against Tarek Skubal. Skubal, obviously, he's had a little bit of rough patches lately. He looked really good in that awesome showdown of Hunter Brown against Tarek Skubal last week. I famously bet over 7 in that game, and it ended, I think, 1-0 or 2-0. But I'm guessing this is just the books have Sacramento too long for your liking here.
Yeah, certainly last night. It's come down a little bit more reasonable today. I took plus 195 last night. I make this plus 165, and I like it to plus 180. So I think it's come down to about plus 185 this morning. There's not a ton of value left, but where you can get plus 180 or better, I would continue to take it. Scooble's first start in a minor league park. He has not pitched in Tampa this year. He has not pitched in Sacramento this year. So we'll see with the potential mound issues that we've discussed in Sacramento, if that impacts his command, if that impacts his velocity. Was really good in his last start. Command was much better after struggling with the command for a few starts. He did face the A's team at home, though, earlier in the year, gave up a couple bombs. Brent Rooker hit him for a homer. Denzel Clark hit him for a 2-run bomb. He gave up 4 runs overall. So A's have scored runs on him. I think JT Ginn is actually a really good fit for this park. JT Ginn has the second highest ground ball rate on the A's besides TJ McFarland, but he's north of 50%. He has really good command. 4 expected ERA, so pitched around league average this year. 111 pitching plus, 18% strikeout minus walk. It's been pretty effective. You see the ERA near 5, but I don't think that's who he is. I think he's closer to a league average pitcher, and you're getting the ground balls in Sacramento where you want to keep the ball out of the air. So I think both of those are super encouraging. The A's offense has the better splits over the last 30 days, and the A's bullpen has the better splits of late, too. Last 30 days, A's 121 WRC plus. That's 5th in baseball. Detroit is 9th with a 111. And the A's bullpen last 30 days, 8th in expected FIP, 7th in strikeout minus walk. That's mostly without Mason Miller. Detroit 15th and 27th, respectively. So if Ginn can keep this close against Skubal through 6 innings, I think the A's have a chance to steal this one late. Sacramento down to plus 180 for Monday, and then maybe an A's team total over could be worth a look as well. I only make the total about 9, but I would imagine their team total is either 3 or 3.5. So I like the A's to score 4 runs tonight if you can get it.
JT Ginn on the mound for the A's, former A JP Sears on the mound for San Diego against Bryce Miller and Seattle today. This is a really kind of a fun series between two playoff teams, 2 of the more interesting playoff contenders, as I mentioned earlier. Seattle clinging to that last playoff spot right now. Well, not really clinging. They're 3 games up on Kansas City for that last playoff spot. They're battling for positioning and potential home field stuff with the Red Sox and Yankees up there. San Diego coming off of a series with the Dodgers, and they find themselves tied in the NL West right now, atop the standings with the Dodgers. Really interesting stuff down the stretch. That's one of the most fascinating races the rest of the year. Seattle 2 back of Houston in the AL West, and Bryce Miller back from injury. Rough season for the most part this year. But you're on a couple different angles in this bet.
Yeah, during Bryce Miller's rehab, and been watching a ton of Mariners games. I'm on their futures now, so I just watch the Mariners all the time. Jerry DePota was talking about Bryce Miller's rehab while he was rehabbing, and he said he's been hitting velocity levels that we haven't seen from him in a while. In rehab, are really encouraged about him. Came back against the Phillies, gave up a few runs, but the velocity and the stuff were both up. He averaged 95.9 on the fastball. That's the hardest fastball he's thrown since August of last season. He averaged 96 on the fastball August 3rd, 2024, 95.9 against the Phillies. He hadn't been above 95.7 in any other start and was generally closer to 94.9, like a full tick below. So the velocity and the stuff came back for Bryce Miller while he rested, while he rehabbed, now getting a home start again, where he is also typically much better. Should mention, just like further indicators that he was back in that outing, right? 274 body array in that outing. He's at 454 this season. He was at 3.2 last year, 347 in 2023. Everything coming out of his hand was elite in that last start. The Phillies just happened to get a little bit off of him. And also, there's going to be hiccups along the way, but he's always better at home than he is at road. I don't have the home road splits in front of me, but I know they are drastic offhand. JP Sears, rest of season FIP projections between 471 and 485. He's kept the same pitch mix with the Padres. His career ERA is 4.5, career expected FIP of 4.9. His strikeout minus walk rate has basically been the same every year, as high as 13%, but still below the major league average. Project these two offenses about the same Padres are missing Jackson Merrill at the moment. If they had Merrill, they'd be slightly better. But in their respective slits, I make these offenses about the same. However, once this gets to the bullpens, the Mariners' offense is more versatile in terms of their ability to maintain their quality against right-handed and left-handed pitching. Once you start throwing lefties at the Padres, they do become a little bit worse, like 5 points worse. It's like a 114 versus a 109. So I think the Mariners, even though the Padres bullpen is typically better, I actually make the late game situation roughly the same here. I think the advantage comes down to Miller over Sears. I make the Mariners about minus 140 in either half, either first five or full game. Would bet them up to minus 130, either first five or full game. And then this is the one total on the board I like as well. We actually have very warm weather in Seattle today. We've had warm weather all weekend, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, close to 80 degrees at first pitch for all 3 days, normally closer to high 60s, low 70s. So actually make this total about 8.5, and I like the over 8 to minus 110 as well. So Mariners to minus 130, and then over 8 to minus 110. No umpire information for this game yet, so I can't say definitively that my total will not adjust off of 8.5, but among the totals on the board, this is the only one I've played.
Bryce Miller, career ERA on the road, 4.86. Career ERA at home, 3.0 on the dot.
Way different guy.
And that's basically even number of starts. He's thrown 25 more innings at home. He's allowed 8 fewer home runs at home. Obviously, pitching in that park has been helpful.
Yeah, all the Mariners have like big home run splits, but his are the most drastic by far. And I think like even Woo, like his ERA is lower, but his strikeout minus walk and expected FIP are like identical. Miller's strikeout minus walk and expected FIP are like drastically different home versus road as well. So
Speaking of home runs, before we get out of here, let's toss it over to Grant Neiffer of Scores and Odds to bring us some of his favorite home run props for today.
All right, thanks, guys. It's Monday. We got a 25% profit boost over on FanDuel, so I'm using that for this three-leg banger right here. Starting off with Dalton Varsho. Get this around plus 340, plus 350. It's been moving up and down a little bit, but I don't care. I like it at both those numbers. Gets a matchup versus Ryan. Ryan has been a little bit better at keeping the ball in the yard this year, but still allowing around 1.3 home runs per 9 innings, due for some negative regression versus lefties with a 50% fly ball rate, 32.3% hard contact rate. The ballpark is top 10 in the league for lefty power, and Varsho has just been absolutely phenomenal when he's played this year. 15 home runs in 42 games, barrel rate up near 20%, which is a career high. He's been mashing the ball, so matchup versus Ryan, where he's an extreme splits guy, gets crushed by lefties. This is far too high of a line. Next up, Vinny Pasquantino. Pasquatch right here. One of the hottest, probably the hottest, actually definitely the hottest hitter in baseball right now. Home run in 6 out of the last 7 games. And that one game he didn't get, still had 2 barrels. I'm still angry about that because I bet him. But I don't care. He's been making me boatloads of money recently. Gets a matchup versus Shane Smith. That is an above average matchup for lefty power. The weather over in Chicago, pretty good for hitting, around a 17% increase to home runs, according to Weather Edge. Weather or wind blowing out at 9 miles an hour. Not terribly hot, but that wind is more important there. Ball's going to be flying pretty well, and Pasquatch is just far too good right now to ignore. Getting him at plus 370 is silly. I'd hit him all the way down to plus 300. Last up, J-Rod. Plus 340, plus 350 over on FanDuel. Gets a matchup versus JP Sears, who's been absolutely hammered by righty power this season, giving up around 1.9 home runs per 9 on the year. Granted, some of that's from playing over in Sacramento, that great ballpark most of the year, but it's still a well above average matchup for righty power. And J-Rod, while he started off the season pretty darn bad, turned things around since the beginning of July. 8 home runs last month, 6 home runs this month. Barrel rate has been good. And as Sean mentioned, it's going to be hot over there in Seattle, hot in the entire Pacific Northwest. So J-Rod getting him at plus 340, plus 350, some real good value here in this spot. Parlay all of them together, 110 to 1 with that 25% profit boost over on FanDuel. I'm out of here. Woo!
Thank you, Grant. That'll do it for today's episode of Payoff Pitch. Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to tail some of the bets from today's episode, look for the quick slip links in the episode description. Don't forget to download the free award-winning Action Network app, and also make sure to leave us that 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts. Also, check out the link in the episode description for the Action Network Discord, We'll be back tomorrow with another episode of Payoff Pitch. For Sean Zerillo and Grant Neiffer, I'm Collin Whitchurch. Thanks for listening to Payoff Pitch, Action Network's MLB betting podcast, and good luck with all your bets.